Rise, dear sisters, mothers, daughters, and wives. Dear sisters, let us get closer to Allah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear sisters in Islam, welcome to a new episode of our program. Dear sisters, as always, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, I'm joined in the studio with Sheikh Ibrahim Zidan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you doing this afternoon?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. We're approaching, inshallah, we want to have some special advice for our dear sisters when it comes to Ramadan issues, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. And my dear sisters, inshallah, we'll start answering your question, and we'll take some pending questions that we've received throughout the past week and the week before, inshallah. Sheikh Ibrahim, is there special preparation for the Muslim sister when it comes to the month of Ramadan?
Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. First, something, if it's very major, very important, and very benefiting, if something is big, anything, a person has to prepare for it. If a person rushes into something that is so important, he would miss so much out of that thing that is so important. You can just make it for anything that people do in this worldly life that we live in.
If you have a big exam, you're going to prepare for it for a long time.
If you just go to the exam right away, you will fail. The same thing when it comes to religious practice. The day of Jumu'ah, the day of Friday, is such a blessed day, so much rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but for certain things to be done on Jumu'ah. One of the early generations of Islam, when he said, if a person comes in the morning of the day of Jumu'ah and says, what day is this? And then he was told it was Friday, it's too late. So he has to prepare for it the day before or something like this. The same thing when it comes to the month of Ramadan. First, we need to know how important is the month of Ramadan. And if a believer knows the importance of Ramadan and what's the rewards in the month of Ramadan, then definitely we would prepare for it, not just now, months before the month of Ramadan. And that's why the early generations of Islam, when they would make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for 6 months, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would allow them to live and witness the month of Ramadan. What kind of understanding of the certainty and the certainty they had when it comes to the rewards of the month of Ramadan. They understood that the purpose of their life is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And the hereafter is based on the good deeds versus the bad deeds. And if our life is short, the month of Ramadan is based, or the weight of the month of Ramadan is not just one lifespan, it's more than that. Laylatul Qadr alone is over 80 years old of continuous ibadah and rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
More than the average lifespan of one person.
So the real loss is when a person loses the month of Ramadan. The Prophet ﷺ, when he was going up into the pulpit, and the 3 things that the Prophet ﷺ said, Ameen, and people asked, what did you say, Ameen, O Prophet of Allah? And he said that Jibreel came to him, and one of the things that the Prophet ﷺ was told that رَغِمَ أَنْفُ مْرِئٍ أَدْرَكَ رَمَضَانَ فَلَمْ يُغْفَرْ لَهُ, that he is in loss. The person that witnessed the month of Ramadan and his sins are not forgiven. This is the real loss. Why? Because there's so many different means and chances for the person to get the sins forgiven. So this is the real loss. So that's why we need to prepare for it before the month of Ramadan, by one of which getting to know the virtues of the month of Ramadan, mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and things to be done now, and to make decisions that in the month of Ramadan, inshallah ta'ala, we will do certain things, and we will learn what to do in the month of Ramadan. And the most important thing that brings all of this together is to sincerely turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a sincere dua, truthful dua, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would allow us to witness the month of Ramadan and guide us and help us to worship Him subhanahu wa ta'ala in the most perfect way. The sincerity of such a dua is definitely of a great benefit to the Muslim, definitely.
The dua in Arabic is Allahumma ballighna Ramadan.
Allahumma ballighna Ramadan. This is just to witness the month of Ramadan. And then asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help in matters of ibadah. Beautiful dua that the Prophet ﷺ taught Mu'adh radiallahu anhu to say after each salah. Allahumma a'inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husna ibadatik. Oh Allah, help me in matters of your ibadah and being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The month of Ramadan is a month of ibadah. You have fasting, we have the night prayer, we have recitation of the Quran, we have feeding the poor, we have remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All different types and acts of worship that either we do it or we don't do it. And when we do it, either we do it in the most perfect way, and the rewards that are given to the people, imagine one reward is multiplied by 10 to 700 times to more multiplications of that. And how can we maximize these types of rewards, and how to prepare ourselves from Laylatul Qadr. And I would like to talk about that for a couple of minutes. When it comes to Laylatul Qadr, somebody would say, but talking about Ramadan, no, make the goal is Laylatul Qadr. Laylatul Qadr, it's by the mercy of Allah, it's towards the end. Because physical actions that are done during the night of Laylatul Qadr, yes, it's such a rewardable thing, and it's equal to the ibadah that is over 8 years long. But the ibadah is not just physical. There are things done by the heart. And the difference in levels of the people and the rewards is according to how their hearts are into the ibadah and with khushu' and humbleness and so on. This happens with the increase of the iman. So building up the iman so that the person would reach this level, that he would get the most perfect reward in the month of Laylatul Qadr. So how to do this is basically by doing the ibadah and being helped to do the ibadah in a proper way, and to start from now, inshallah, according to the way the Prophet says.
A sister who, speaking of Laylatul Qadr, a sister who comes in the month of Ramadan, and she's during the time, the month where she cannot pray and she cannot fast, and it happens to be during the last 10 days of Ramadan, which could be Laylatul Qadr.
No. This, the Prophet ﷺ, when Aisha radiallahu anha, she had her menses, but during Hajj, and she was upset. And the Prophet ﷺ told, this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained on the daughters of Adam, on the women. So the first thing is, don't be upset. This is the qadr, the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in your heart, you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that if you're not in the menses, you would do such and such, you will get the rewards of that. And then what to do, there are certain things to be done. Inshallah, we can talk about it.
After we take this phone call, and after we take the phone call, I also want to ask you regarding this, some sisters are asking if they can take pills or something to prevent the menses from during the month of Ramadan. We'll talk about that inshallah after we take a phone call from Sister Fatima from Kenya. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Fatima is with us through Skype. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sister Fatima, you still with us? It looks like we're having a technical difficulty. Inshallah, try to give us a call back, Sister Fatima. Sisters who try to prevent the menses by taking birth control pills or something like that, is that allowed?
Although some ulama, they say, as far as the halal and the haram, it's permissible as long as there's no harm, caused to the sister if she takes these pills. But why? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had decreed such a thing on the women, and if the goal
why
is
they say
to,
because I want to worship Allah.
Right. If the concern is the rewards, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained such a thing on women. So it's not according to what we think or according to what we desire, is according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. If the companions radiallahu anhum, they face that, the women of the Prophet ﷺ and so on. So we're not better than them. So just be content with the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do the acts. So Allah made it easy for you. Do the acts of worship other than the salah and other than the siyam. So many different acts of worship, but we can talk about it inshallah.
Sister Fatima is back with us. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Fatima. It looks like Sister Fatima is not able to get to us today, so alhamdulillah rabbil alamin.
There's a beautiful hadith.
Yes.
The Prophet ﷺ, when he said, إذا مرض العبد أو سافر كتب له ما كان يعمل مقيما صحيحا أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام حديث أبو موسى الأشعري. The Prophet ﷺ said, if a person is sick or traveling, it will be written for him what he used to do when he would be in his place and not being sick, being healthy. So the same thing the ulama they talk about when it comes to the matters of menses. If the sister, when she's not in her menses, she is worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, during the period of her menses, she will get the same rewards. So this is a relief from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She should be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then do the things that she can do, seeking the help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She would get inshallah ta'ala even more of the rewards. There's so many things, whether it's recitation of the Quran, it's permissible, making dhikr, making sure that the family members among those who are living with the sister, that they are doing these acts of worship, waking them up for the salah, making sure that they go to the masjid to pray the 5 daily obligatory prayer in the masjid, they make the Taraweeh prayer, feeding others, fixing food for them. This is all good deeds for her to do, and not just something that is on a personal level, and making dua. And some of the sisters, when they're on the menses, they would sleep all night. No, wake up during the night, make the night tahajjud without salah, with dua, with dhikr, with reciting of the Quran. And that's why the qiyamul layl, the salah is part of it. The salah, of course, it's the best subject whatsoever, but there is the dua, there is the dhikr, there is recitation of the Quran. So this is something not to be left whatsoever, and seeking help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Let's take it back a step where we are right now. We're a little bit before Ramadan. Do you have special advice for sisters specifically when it comes to preparation for the month of Ramadan that is different from brothers?
to prepare or to do anything, we have to look into the life of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ used to prepare for the month of Ramadan by fasting in the month of Sha'ban. And the Prophet ﷺ would fast the whole month or the whole month but little. This is one of the preparation for Ramadan. And especially for women, making up the days that they had from previous Ramadans, this is the time to do it before the beginning of the month of Ramadan.
This Aisha radiallahu anha used to do
that in the month of Sha'ban. So fasting during Sha'ban, opposite to what some people might think, I need to eat a lot before the month of Ramadan so that when the month of Ramadan comes, I'm satisfied with eating and so on. It's the total opposite. Fast and the night prayer and reciting Quran. The things that we want to do in the month of Ramadan, start doing it now and be patient with it, so that a person, when the month of Ramadan comes, you're not going to start something new, you already started it before that.
My dear sisters, we're going to take a short break, inshallah. When we come back, we'll take more of your questions, inshallah, so please stay with us.
Dear sisters, let us get closer to Allah. Dear sisters, let us learn of Rasulullah.
Quran is the divine word of Allah. It is the final revelation to humanity. It is a means of healing, both spiritually and physically. Whosoever abides by it is guided. To ponder and reflect on its beautiful verses. Join me on Tafsir al-Quran al-Kareem.
Appreciate the significance of tafsir to realize the essence of the Quran in Tafsir of Quran. Tomorrow at 11 p.m. and repeat telecast at 12:30 p.m. Saudi Arabia on Peace TV.
If I were to ask you about the life of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about the incidents that occurred before his prophethood and in Mecca and in Medina, about the names of his loved ones and his wives and his children, how much would we be able to know? How many incidents have we memorized? Brothers and sisters, isn't it more important that we study the seerah of the most important human being who ever walked the face of this earth? Join me, your host Yasir Qadhi, as we discuss the most important biography of the most illustrious human being that ever lived, the seerah of our beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Join Yasir Qadhi in Seerah of the Prophet, peace be upon him, next on Peace TV.
Dear sisters, let us get closer to Allah. Dear sisters, let us learn of Rasulullah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear sisters, welcome back to our program, Dear Sisters. Program dedicated just for you so that we can answer your questions, inshallah. Anything relating to women in general, anything relating to relationships, family relationships with your husband, relationship with your children, relationship with your father. And we have all these types of questions with us right here, inshallah. After we take this phone call, inshallah, I want to ask you what the practical side of preparation when it comes to the daily affairs. Should the sisters go shopping right now? Or should they wait till the beginning of Ramadan? Should they start making food and keep it in the fridge? We'll see what advice we have for that, inshallah. Sister Salwa from Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum.
Hello?
Yes, Sister Salwa, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Go ahead with your question.
Can you hear me, Brother Ossama?
I can hear you very well. Go ahead with your question, sister.
Okay. I have 3 questions. Maybe they are not all pertaining to Ramadan. Can I ask them?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay. I have, tomorrow, inshallah, is 13th of Sha'ban. Can we fast the 3 white days, 13th, 14th, and 15th, or is it bid'ah? And then my second question is, the reward for men in Jannah, they're saying they will be hur. What about the females? What about the sisters? And my third question is, the criteria to choose a wife, it is beauty, wealth, status, or virtue. What about the husband? What is the criteria to be followed to choose a proper husband?
Sounds good.
Jazakallah khair.
Barakallahu feek, Sister Salwa. Thank you so much. Fasting the 13th, 14th, and 15th of Sha'ban, is that a sunnah? Like the Prophet ﷺ used to fast on the 13th, 14th, and 15th of the Hijri month?
No.
Or is it a bid'ah, as in only fasting the 15th day of Sha'ban?
This is definitely the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And he mentioned ﷺ that fasting the 3 white days, 13th and 14th and 15th, if you fast these 3 days as if you fasted the whole month. So definitely it's a virtuous thing. The issue why some people say the word bid'ah in this, it's with regarding to the 15th of Sha'ban. If somebody thinks there's a special virtue in fasting the 15th of Sha'ban only, this is not from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. But if a person fasted because the month of Sha'ban is a good month to fast, because the Prophet ﷺ used to do that, and the 15th being one of the white days, definitely this is a good thing. So, but specializing or making the 15th of Sha'ban a special day, this is not from the way of the Prophet ﷺ when it comes to matters of
Barakallahu feek. Ibrahim from Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Ibrahim, go ahead, sister.
Yeah, Sheikh, I want to ask one question to Sheikh Zidan.
Yes, go ahead, sister.
Yeah, my daughter is 12 years old. Alhamdulillah, she has completed her entire memorization of the Quran. Can she lead me this Ramadan for Taraweeh prayer in house? And can I gather other ladies also at my house for the Taraweeh Salah?
How old is she again, sister?
Pardon?
How old is she again, your daughter?
12 years. She's 12 years old. She has completed, alhamdulillah, the entire Quran. Can she lead me in this Taraweeh Salah?
MashaAllah.
And can I call other ladies of my own building to join me? Thank you, Sheikh.
You're welcome. Barakallahu feek. Well, go ahead and answer that, and then we'll go back to the other questions from Sister Salwa.
First, mashallah, this is a great thing for somebody to finish the Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala
At 12 years old, mashallah.
bless her and make it happen to all of the Muslims, and we can, take care of the Quran like that. The question is, yes, it's permissible for women to pray together as jama'ah. And in that case, she won't be standing in front of them. The imam for women is leading the salah. By the way, some of the ulama, when they said this is not good for women to do that, but the authentic opinion that it's permissible, since the Prophet ﷺ ordered Waraqa to lead her household in the salah. So a woman leading women, this is permissible. And to stand in the middle of the line, not to stand in front of them, but to stand with them in the same line in the middle of it, and she will be the imam. And she can call other sisters to pray with them. There's no harm whatsoever. This is even better. The prayer of the woman in her home is better than praying in the masjid even.
Jazakallah khair. Another question from Sister Salwa. I believe some sisters ask this question not out of need, but out of jealousy. They say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the men in Jannah the hur, hur. How about the women?
No. First, if a person enters Jannah, there is no misery, there is no jealousy, there is no hard feelings, there is nothing whatsoever. All of these different attitudes or feelings that we have on the face of earth, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one that created it in us. Once a person put his foot in Jannah, all of these types of feelings and jealousies and all that, it's removed totally. So the first thing is, we should not be concerned. The person will be having the ultimate joy without even a person can ever imagine. No ears have heard, no eyes have seen. no hearts have ever imagined, right? So there's no need for us to be concerned about it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful. But what's for women, as mentioned in the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if the woman is married, she will be, and her husband, both they enter Jannah, she will be for her husband. And if she, say she was married to more than one person, one died and she married another one and so on, and they all enter Jannah, right, she will be with the one that has the best of manners, right? So
it's not that she'll be with the last person that she was married to?
Yes, if she dies while they're still married, she will be with the last person, yes.
So for example, she marries the first person.
No.
The first brother, he passes away.
No.
She gets married to the second brother, and then she passes away.
No.
Therefore, in Jannah, she'll be married to the second,
enters Jannah, yes.
The second brother.
Second one. But again, all of these details, right, it's not something that should concerns us. What concerns us is to enter Jannah. Right? As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ. Those who are pushed away from the hellfire and they enter Jannah, they are winners, right? And anything that comes into our mind that we see in this world that we live in, this world is deficient. This world has so many things that won't exist in Jannah.
Jannah is the ultimate jewel. Gives you a feeling that
right.
person barely escaped hellfire.
Right. So the concern, mashallah, is just to enter Jannah. And then there's no misery and there's no...
The question about sisters, because a lot of sisters don't know this piece of information, that they're married more than one person. In Jannah, they would be the wife of the last person that they were married to.
Right. No.
Yeah. Okay. Jazakallah khair. Okay, the third question is, the sister was saying, Islam makes it very clear for a man when it comes to criteria for choosing the woman to marry. Does Islam also give the same types of criteria or similar types of criterion for picking a husband?
Definitely. The Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا جَاءَكُمْ مَنْ تَرْضَوْنَ دِينَهُ وَخُلُقَهُ فَزَوِّجُوهُ. That if comes to you a man that you're satisfied with his religion and his manners,
how about his looks?
Then get him married. The looks is definitely important when it comes to matters of al-qabul, which is the acceptance. So that means the Prophet ﷺ, when he ordered the man to look at the woman that he wanted to marry, and the same thing the woman she would look at him. And if the acceptance or the chemistry is there, then mashallah they go forward. If she doesn't feel comfortable, then doesn't have to be, she's not to be forced to marry someone that she doesn't feel comfortable being with. So looks is important, right, for both, but when it comes to matters of acceptance, because it's something that is relevant from one to the other. But as far as the criteria, the Prophet ﷺ, when he said that تُنْكَحُ الْمَرْأَةُ لِأَرْبَعٍ, that women are married for 4 reasons. The Prophet ﷺ, as some of the ulama, they said, he stated the fact that people get married for these reasons.
So he's saying these are the 4 main reasons that all people, they get married for.
He was not telling the people get married to the sisters, those who have these things. But then at the end, the Prophet ﷺ, encouraging the men to get married to the one that is virtue, the one that is religious. So the same thing for the women is the one that is satisfied with his religion and his manners, which is a very important thing. And the acceptance is from both of us when they see each other.
And in a previous episode, we talked about why the Prophet ﷺ said manners also with religion, even though manners are part of religion, in order to emphasize its importance. Alhamdulillah. Okay, let's take a question. A sister says, a Muslim man marries a Muslim girl, but never pays the mahr, takes loans on all her jewelry without her permission, takes lots of money as a loan from his in-laws. His family supports him. They say it's the wife's duty to stay calm and be patient with whatever her husband does. What does Islam say in such a situation? Please explain on TV.
Well, first, there's no such a thing that they get married without mahr. There's a fault in the marriage. He has to give a mahr, anything.
I guess maybe he said that there's a mahr, and he never paid it.
So this is something that is on him, right? It's a responsibility that he has to give. Some people think that it's when he dies or when divorce happens. No, it becomes a loan, that he has to pay that loan. And whenever he has the means, then he has to give that. It's the right of the wife on him. The issue is of keep getting or taking loans from others. This is sometimes turns to an addicted thing. And sometimes it has an evil reasons behind it, and sometimes it's not. So the person has to be sincere in trying to fix this issue. And some people, they take loans without the intention of returning it back, which is a sin. So when it comes to, if the concern is what the wife should do, she should advise her husband and try to make it easy for him, trying to help him, making sure that he increases his iman and remind him that these are rights of others. So her job is to basically advise him and increase his iman and so on. But if he is making his salah, there's no valid reason for them to be separated from one another, then she should be patient. And being patient is not a negative thing, it's a positive thing, meaning that she is patient with him, trying to help him and try to increase iman and so on. But again, if there's no valid reason for them to be separated, then seeking help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the better benefit being together, if they're children, to raise the children and so on and so forth.
I know we talk a lot about a lot of problems and issues, especially when it comes to between a husband and a wife. But I got a comment last week, a sister, she said that my husband is a changed man after watching Dear Sisters.
MashaAllah.
So alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
MashaAllah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep them this way. We have to be watchful of the ways of the shaitan in which he just slip away after some time.
It's a program dedicated to sisters, and our brother was affected also, alhamdulillah. She said that he's a changed man, and imagine a wife actually saying that about her husband. But that's a great thing, alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khairan. Thank you so much for all your advice. Barakallah feek. My dear sisters in Islam, thank you so much for being with us. We hope it was of benefit, inshallah. We'll see you next week, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Dear sisters, let us get closer to Allah. Dear sisters, let us learn of Rasulullah. Dear sisters, let's make the future bright. Dear sisters, mothers, daughters, and wives. Dear sisters, let us get closer to Allah. Dear sisters, let us learn of Rasulullah. Dear sisters.